Hey everyone, we're back again talking about the generals of Born of the Gods.
While there may not be as many potential generals as there were in Theros, Born of the Gods has some great legendary creatures we wanted to highlight.
We're just going to talk about each legendary creature and the potential decks and archetypes that you can play using that creature as your general. And let's get started right off the bat with a god, Aphara, god of the Polis.
Aphara lends herself really well to drawing cards, which of course blue-white does really well already, but she lets you do it with creatures, and they can do that a little bit, stuff like Muldrifter. She's even better because she actually allows you to play something like a Blink deck that draws you a lot of cards. So of course I think that would be the first archetype that we would suggest would be play blue-white Blink. You already probably have a pretty good idea of what that deck would entail. You just play dudes with good enter the battlefield abilities, you play ways to flicker them, you play cards like Vidalcan Orrery so that you can give stuff flash, and then you're set. You just draw cards and control the board with enter the battlefield abilities.
And she also lends herself, because we're playing blue-white, to a form of a control deck. And in this case, since she really encourages you to play creatures, why don't you play lots of different utility dudes, kind of in a utility dude control. Now, this might not be the most efficient way to play control. It encourages you to play creatures and still control the board and draw cards, once again, with her ability.
And next we have my favorite god, Karametra, god of harvests. She's really ridiculous. I threw together a Karametra deck that was just some commons and uncommons out of a box and stuck a few rares in there and called it a deck, and it was ridiculous because every little mana dork, every Llanowar elf, Jiraga Tree Speaker, they were a huge advantage because not only were they mana dorks, but they got lands. And so, of course, a cool thing that I thought of, if you're going to play all those mana dorks, a lot of them are elves, so why not just play Karametra for elf tribal? Traditionally, you'd use an elf commander like Azuri, but she's really good because every single elf is relevant. And then plus white gives you a lot of good stuff like Mirror Entity.
On that same train of thought, if you're going elves, you can also decide to take a more aggressive route with more classic big creatures that cost a lot of mana to cast. Really just pump up all that mana. I think she's great as a commander. I also think she's great as one of the 99.
She'll really shine in Naya decks, though. She's fantastic.
Let's take a look at Mogis, god of slaughter. Now, this guy is possibly one of my personal favorite of the gods. He's just so cool, you know, all the death metal jokes that have been made about him.
We made them first, I'm just saying.
This guy is just raw awesomeness. But let's just be fair, the only real thing that he's really good at as a commander is pressure. But he's not just okay at it, he's really good at pressure. And in commander, yeah, 2 damage doesn't start to look so bad until you start getting low into about the teens. And all of a sudden, sacking those creatures seems like a better and better option for you.
Having just got done playing a game against Mogis, it was bad because I was playing a blue-white deck without a lot of creatures. I had nothing to sacrifice, I had to keep taking the damage. And the thing with those gods is they're so hard to remove, and once you finally do remove them, they just cast them again. The only downside I think of Mogis is there are some people that you don't want to give a free sack outlet. I also think he's good at just general red-black aggro. Rakdos is good with aggro, so if you want to play red-black aggro, it's looking like Mogis or Rakdos, and they're 2 totally different decks.
And it doesn't hurt to even play Mogis maybe inside of a Rakdos deck.
Or Rakdos inside of a Mogis deck, because
Exactly.
You've already shot them for 2 damage, most likely, with Mogis. And Rakdos is quadruple mana symbols for Mogis' Devotion. Phoenix, god of deception, it's either he sucks, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, or meh. I think he's really cool. I don't normally like Mill, but a lot of people have been coming up with the idea of doing zombies for him. And so that's the first archetype that we have for Phoenix is zombies. Because zombies are really good when you mill yourself because cards like Patriarch's Bidding have been printed. And then once you get a few cards that let your zombies damage become mill, like Crumbling Sanctuary or Undead Alchemist, you can really take advantage of the mill and start milling your opponents.
Speaking of mill, you could just have straight up just a mill deck, playing all the classic great mill cards in Commander. It's not going to be as good as some other mill decks, but Phoenix, it encourages you to play creatures over spells as well.
And then the last archetype, I think, would be very annoying because we're taking the Phoenix theme of creatures with big butts to the extreme and playing Pillow Fort Walls. So you play a bunch of cards like Propaganda, anything to keep people from attacking you or targeting you, and then you play walls and more walls.
I haven't seen very many blue-black Pillow Fort decks out there. Blue-white's usually the more popular color combination.
I honestly believe if you're not going to go all out and play the Defender version, that you should still try to gravitate toward creatures with higher toughnesses in any Phoenix deck that you play. Yes, Archaeomancer might be the best option because it's 4 mana, but you're better off with the Demonic Wall because it can mill more.
And our last god is going to be Xenagos, God of Revels. And all I can say about this guy is Stompy Smash Face Smash Stomp. Real players see him and they just start drooling. He's going to be great as a commander, but in all honesty, he's so much better as one of the 99 in a deck. Naya and Jund both love this guy.
He allows commanders with green-red in their color identity to just one-shot people.
And along that line, good old-fashioned green-red beats is perfect for this guy. This may seem obvious to a lot of people. Cards like Camalfist of Krosa, Crater Hoof Behemoth, stuff like that. You're just going to be beating face with this guy.
You want to play creatures with trample, not because he has an interaction with trample, but because there's no point in making a creature that huge just so it can get chump blocked.
Yeah, getting chump blocked by that 1/1 is no fun. And speaking of fun, Xenagos is the god of revels, right? He's the god of parties. He's a fun guy. And so, what do you do at parties? You smash stuff. Well, why not build a wild party theme deck? Maybe play cards like Liquid Metal Coating to turn everyone's stuff into artifacts, and then just smash it all.
And you'll have to play some different cards. There are a lot of really good cards from Born of the Gods, a lot of the Satyr cards. And then goblins. Goblins are fantastic.
Oh, goblins are awesome at a party. They make a huge mess, but,
Hellraiser Goblin. Yeah. Of course, we have the current money card of the set. Brahmas, King of Oreskos, is really good.
He's so cool. He's probably my favorite card.
I'm a little biased because I like Kimba better, and there's no avoiding a comparison of the two. But as many people have pointed out, they hop into each other's 99 very, very well.
Yeah.
As far as archetypes, he wears equipment well. Play a Voltron deck. If you like Voltron, but Kimba's really not your thing, he's fantastic, and you can probably play Kimba in the deck anyway. So, of course, your other option is to play tokens, because he makes tokens. Commanders that make tokens tend to make their way into commanding token decks.
Just throw some anthems in there and call it a day.
And then, of course, Kitty Tribal.
Oh, yeah.
He's really, really awesome for Kitty Tribal, because you can play some equipments, so Kimba's good, and Raksha Golden Cub is good with equipments, too.
Oreskos and some of the more recent cats that have been coming out to kind of help out, make that Kitty Tribal
You're not having to play vanilla dudes, you can actually play some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's some actually decent cats coming out. The final general we have to talk about is Troma.
He's not the least. He's definitely not.
He is definitely not the least. He's an 8/8 for 7 that, unless he's attacking or blocking, then he comes out of the water, and then you can shoot him. But while he's not attacking or blocking, he's under the water, you can't get him. So he's kind of flavorful. That's kind of cool. And then, if you just happen to have attacked with one of your creatures last turn, that was a mistake, because that creature can't block, and now Troma is literally unblockable.
So, I don't know if we have to tell you guys this, then you're doing it wrong, because obviously he's a sea monster. You make a sea monster deck.
I think a lot of people are building the sea monster deck now. Maybe not because of Troma, but maybe because of one of the other awesome sea monster cards that they came out with in Born of the Gods.
Whelming Wave is really sweet. There aren't a whole lot of other options for legendary sea creatures. Which, of course, aside from just sea monsters, I think he would actually be a decent mono blue Voltron commander, because this guy could get into the red zone and do it for you. He can get it done, because he's very difficult to remove and very difficult to block.
He comes standard with all the Voltron stuff that you need, and then just use your blue search spells, fabricate up some equipment to make him even scarier, and wham, you have a pretty awesome mono blue Voltron deck. Well, that was our take on the generals from Born of the Gods.
Let us know which commanders you're choosing and how you plan on building around them, or if you're just going to play them as one of your 99.
I'm Karsten.
And I'm Brianne.
And thanks for watching.